So on your dirt bike suspension, you have compression and rebound control. It's exactly how it sounds. Compression is the control that you have as the chassis compresses or the suspension compresses, and rebound control is it extending. So it's being able to control that extension of the suspension after a compression. When it comes to compression and rebound, basically what's going on here is you have your adjusters, and as you turning your adjuster in or out, you are basically opening or closing a port inside the suspension that allows the fluid to flow through. The further you turn it in, the smaller that port becomes, and the harder it is for the fluid to flow through that port, which creates a stiffer ride. As you open that adjuster out, it opens that port up and allows the fluid to flow more freely through the port and ultimately creates a softer ride. So on your rebound adjuster that is on the bottom of this bike, it works very similar to how the compression adjuster works, and as you turn it in, it is opening and closing a port. The further in that you have it, the slower the bike will return, and the further out that you have it, the faster the suspension will return because it is opening that port up to allow more oil to flow through it. All right, so let's talk about a situation. Say you're at the track and the track is getting rougher and you have a certain place on the track that you feel like your bike could handle a little bit better, like you're going into a corner, it's getting choppy, it's getting bumpy, and you feel like your bike is kind of beating you up. There's a number of things that can fix this. The first thing that we're going to want to determine is the pitch or the attitude of the bike. So if you're under brake and the bike is squatting down in the front, and that is causing a lot of feedback to the front end, you may need to stiffen the compression up on the forks, which is going to allow them to not squat as much, ride a little bit higher, ride a little bit more in the comfort of the stroke. Or it could be in the rear end that you need to actually bring the rear end down to allow the chassis to kind of level out. So how we would do that is actually soften up the compression clickers on the rear end, and that will kind of try to level the bike back out. So another situation that you might be running into, or you hear people talk about a lot, is packing of the rear suspension. And what that means is the bike is coming down in the stroke, and it's getting further and further and further and further down because the rebound adjustment is not quick enough to allow it to return back to its ride height from each consecutive bump. So as it hits the bumps, it just packs, and at some point it's going to unload and kick the bike forward. So in a situation like that, what you're going to want to do is open up the rebound adjustment on the bottom to allow some fluid to flow a little bit quicker, and then hopefully as you're hitting the bumps, instead of it packing and unloading, it is rebounding off of each bump and staying up high in the stroke so that you don't hit that final bump and it tried to kick you over the bars.